Good morning. It is wonderful to be here with you today. Beautiful singing today. As we welcome you and you get settled in for the sermon, if you're visiting here, we're thrilled that you're here today. It gives us joy, and we hope you enjoy this hour of worship. We thank you for coming. We've had a wonderful week. It's been tiring. It's been challenging in some ways, but I will tell you, I feel good about the week that we had, and I'm very grateful to have been here. I want to talk to you today, and I specifically need to talk to the church. And maybe you're visiting today, and I'm not trying to leave you out. But from time to time, there's things that we really need to study as a church, and today is one of those occasions. In Titus chapter 1, the apostle tells Titus, "This is why I left you in Crete, to ordain elders in every church and set in order the things that are wanting." Now, I don't know if you're aware or not, but the ancient island of Crete had 90 to 100 cities. And I want you to just think about the task for just a moment that the apostle is given to Titus. Every one of these cities needs elders in every church. And I submit to you today that that is the will of God. I hope you believe today that that is God's will, that every church have elders. Now, I want to tell you something about God. God looked down at man and he saw that it was not good for man to be alone. God created the perfect partner. When God looked down at man and woman and saw that they could not handle their problem of sin, He sent Jesus to handle that problem. And God has ordained that there be a church of people who are called out of the world and live in Jesus and follow Jesus. And it is God's will that every church have elders. And you know why? Because it's right. It's important. It is needed. Just in the same sense that it's important for a man to have a woman, a mate, a partner. Just in the same sense that it's important for you and I to have forgiveness and that we need a place to be out of the world and in the church. Every church needs elders. And brethren, I want you to hear me today. Look at me. You have good elders. Do you realize how blessed you are? Do you have any idea? 30% of our churches have elders. 30%. You're one of them. You're blessed. And I will tell you, I know your elders. Okay? I know them. Now you're going, Brother Shawn, you're a visitor here. How can you know them? I have spent a week in the same hotel room in the same bed with Ty Fleming. I know him. I know him. Okay? You, not in a King James sense, of course not. I know these guys. You have good elders. You are blessed. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you something that you have right here, and I want you to hear me. You don't have enough elders. Okay? I know a congregation that's this size that has 4 elders, and it's not enough. They're fixing to ordain 4 more. And that congregation is going to have 8 elders. And I want you to hear me, it's not enough. And you have to have some admiration. This is not Pump Up Ty and Jerry Day. Don't misunderstand me. You have to have some admiration for men who will stand up on a stage like this and agree to be accountable for your soul. God gave me and my wife 3 children, and I'm going to tell you, I found accountable from the day they were born. It was so humbling to know this kid that God had given me can go to heaven or hell, and a lot of that's on me. And you got to realize these men have agreed to be accountable for you. And not just you, your wife, your children, and every visitor who comes in here who says, this is going to be my home. These guys have agreed with God to help you in any way that they can. For no pay. You got that? You think about that. How blessed you are. How wonderful God's plan is. Sorry, I didn't think about the microphone on my shirt. I want to talk to you today about a congregation's responsibility to its elders. And I want you to open your heart to this. There's parts of this study that are challenging. I believe that, but I think it's a very important study. Proverbs 8:32, now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death. There is blessings in following the Lord. There is a blessing for you today to follow the Lord and serve the Lord. There is a blessing for your family today if you will follow the Lord and serve the Lord. And it is very challenging to follow the Lord and serve the Lord because Satan works 24/7 to try to make sure that you don't follow the Lord. Satan works 24/7 to try to make sure that in some way you hate Jesus or you hate God or you hate His Word or whatever the case may be. And so it's a challenging thing to come to a place in life where we go, where we say, where we accept, I'm going to submit to someone who's not my father, who's not my husband, where a grown man says, I will submit to the elders, and I will do what they ask me to do. I want you to think about God's will. I want you to think about why God said it's not good for a man to be alone, because God knows best. And why God deemed it important for there to be a church at all. Because God could have saved man without a church if that had been His will. But I'll tell you, it wasn't God's will because it wasn't what's best for man. And the fact is, whether you know it or don't know it, that churches that don't have elders are dying. And the Christians, they are dying too. It's just a fact. Number one. It's a very simple thing. Know your elders. You have a responsibility to get to know your elders. Now, this may not be as natural as getting to know your dad or getting to know your mom or your grandpa or something. But I want to tell you what, it takes effort from both parties. And to know them, I think, means a couple of things. We need to recognize them and esteem them for what they do. We need to have respect for that office. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 12, and he says, and we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord. This is directly talking about elders or bishops, whatever you might want to call them, in the sense of these men shepherding. And here's what he says, know them. Do you know them? Get to know them. Communicate with them and talk with them and say, I don't know you as good as I need to know you. Go ask, say, come to our house and have a meal. Go to their house and pop in and see them. Now, you got to understand, you got 100 people here in this congregation and 2 guys. It's going to take a little time. Get to know them. Because the relationships that we have makes things work. I had a wonderful father, and he was a great man, and I've enjoyed him very much as my father. But there were times when he disciplined me, when he punished me, when he treated me like every dad does a kid. I didn't appreciate him. But you know what? You know what I knew at the end of the day? I knew he loved me because I knew him. And I had trust in him. And if you don't get to know your elders, you can't have trust in your elders. And she says, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you, and to esteem them very highly in love. Why? Because they're great guys? No. For their work's sake. Because I want to go to heaven. I assume you do too. And I want to tell you, I need help. I need help. And I go to my elders in Wheeler, Texas. I go to them and say, I need help. I have challenges. I need your advice. And then finally, notice what he says, and be at peace among yourselves. And so I want to encourage you today to get to know your elders, to spend some time with your elders, to reach out to your elders. It's easy to sit around and go, well, they haven't spent no time with me. I'll tell you what, I tend to spend a lot of time with the cow who gives me trouble and who needs attention. And the good ones, the ones that behave, sometimes I kind of leave them alone. So reach out to your elders and get to know your elders. In 1 Timothy chapter 3, he says, this is a true saying, if a man desires the office of a bishop, what does he desire? He desires for good things to happen. He desires for people to be blessed. He desires to see people grow and overcome and live the Christian life and ultimately to go to heaven. That's the good work that these elders desire. The elders and deacons have agreed to serve with little pay. They work early and often. They are burdened with sleepless nights. I'm going to tell you, people, something I know. There are many people in this room that these two men have stayed awake nights over caring for, worrying over, praying for. You people in this room. And they're not going to come to you and say, hey, I want you to know I didn't sleep all night last night because of you. But they do. Well, that's got to mean something. Have you ever stayed up worrying over your kid? Well, sure. You know what? The night before my daughter moved off to college, I did not sleep that whole night. And for some of you who haven't been there, brother, it's coming. It ain't a fun night. They carry the cares, the concerns, the troubles of every member of this congregation. And the work they do is truly a labor of love. Now, you may feel like they don't love me. You may say, he was kind of hard on me, or he this or that. I want to tell you what, my old daddy was pretty hard on me. Because he would whoop my tail. And he would dress me down. But I want to tell you what, at the end of the day, I knew that he loved me. We should look up to these men for this. It's their job to help you to go to heaven, and they need all their help that they can get in this job. Number 2, remember them and follow them. In Hebrews 13, verse 7, remember them which have the rule over you. What does that mean? Remember them. What does that mean? You know, I got 3 grandkids, and Ty accuses me to be an excited grandfather. I guess I'm guilty. I think about them. You know, I think about them every day. Haven't seen them in a week. I think about them. And I wonder if they're doing all right, or if they've got that tooth in, or, you know, maybe they're crawling or done something extra cute. Everything they do is cute, so I think about them. I pray for them. I call them on the phone and I say, how's it going? I miss you. I think this is what he's talking about. Encourage them. Lift them up in prayer. Remember them that have the rule over you. Give them some thought and keep them in your prayers. Send them a text and say, I love you and I appreciate you. Think of them. Everybody in this world likes to be thought of. Everybody in this world likes to have something nice done for them that makes them feel important and makes them feel special. I'll just tell you something. Your kid ever come to you and say, "Thank you for being my dad"? You know when I done that, when I became a father, I went to my dad and said, "Thanks. I see what a challenge it must have been." I sent all my kids a text just a couple of years ago, and I said, "I'm sorry for all my failures as a father." I mean it. Because I gave you some whoopings you didn't need. Because I was going to err on the side of too many rather than too few. I put you through some hard things I shouldn't have. But I felt like it would bring out the best in you. And I just told them, "I'm sorry." You know what? Every one of my kids said, "Thanks, Dad. Thanks for the whoopings. Thanks for the care." You know what? That's worth more than $1 million to let them know, for to know how they feel, and know they appreciate. It was challenging. They appreciate it. I want you to know, remember your elders. Let them feel some appreciation. If you don't appreciate them, well, don't. But let them know. He says, "Whose faith follow." I tell you, I've followed the faith of my father. My son has followed my faith. He's got a son now. And I want him to feel respect for his father. I want him to see me respect my father. All these things matter, folks. They matter. Did you know that sheep without shepherds scatter? I recently read about a whole bunch of people who were struggling. I'm talking about terrible struggles in life. Drug addicts, prostitutes, pimps, hitmen, drug dealers. I read all this information. You know what came back to the common denominator on every single one? Broken home. Broken home. Not a good father, not a good mother. I want to tell you, there's wisdom from God. Every person in this room who's a part of this congregation, you got a dad and a mom, every person, right? And you got 2 more fathers in these elders. Truth be told, you need 3 or 4. That's what you need. Truth be told. Consider this role. Elders help people get to heaven and be a help to them in that work. Remember them in prayer. They have many difficult decisions to make. How would you like to face the difficulties they face? Follow their godly example. There are times in life that each of us needs guidance. This is God's plan for elders. Follow that example. They're trying to help you to get to heaven. Number 3, call on your elders for help. People struggle and they won't ask for help. And I want to tell you, it's just madness. It's madness. Go to your elders and say, "I need help." In times of sickness, James 5:14, "Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church." Now, we could have a long argument whether it's a miraculous thing or other miraculous. I don't think that's the point. Go to your elders. I want to tell you, if you're struggling with sin, go to your elders. If you're having trouble forgiving somebody, go to your elders. If you don't know what to do, why wouldn't you go to your elders? Why? Do you realize that not going to your elders is just the same as taking them away, not having elders? Don't negate the blessing of God. Listen to me. Don't negate and cancel the blessings of God. Go talk to your elders. and say, I need help. If you have difficult questions, you know what we find people did in the New Testament? They went to the elders. In Acts 15, verse 2, when therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain others of them should go up to Jerusalem to who? The apostles and the elders. You got a hard question. You don't know what to do. You're struggling to make a choice decision. Go talk to your elders. They'll be happy to talk to you. They'll be happy to help you. And that's what they're there for, to guide us through the difficult challenges of life. They may not give perfect information every time. They may not give the best advice every time. Guess what? Elders have a bad day every once in a while. Go to them. Say, I need help. Call on the elders. Don't wait and wonder. Why don't they come? You got to be humble enough to go say, help me. You ever see your child struggle with a problem and you know they're struggling? You ever see that? And sit there and go, why don't they talk to me? You ever done that? When my son was small, he had a problem. It wasn't a spiritual problem. He had a physical problem. He got in a situation that was going to be very exceedingly embarrassing. And I knew. And I went and said, son, I will help you with anything. You know what he said? I know. You know. Then why won't you let me help you? You know what he said? I'm embarrassed. And I felt like it was a teachable moment. I said, I don't care how embarrassing a thing happens to you or you do. I am your dad. And I will help you. I don't care what it is. I mean, you kill somebody in the night, I'm going to help you. I didn't say I'm going to help you hide the body, but I'm going to help you. You understand? I'll tell you, these elders feel the same way. I know these men. They want to help you, but you got to go to them. They just can't be there unless they know. They cannot know everything. They cannot know when people need help any more than you or I. Don't wait. Go to your elders. Now, number 4, submit and obey. Now, I want to tell you, submission's a hard one because we're Americans and we get things our way and right away and all that kind of stuff. This is a challenge. And it's especially challenging for men because women get a little dose of this because they're supposed to submit to their husbands. That's the will of God. Children get a little dose of this. We've all been children. It's our responsibility to submit. I've heard people say things like, I submit to the elders when I agree with them. I want to tell you, that's not biblical. It's not. Obey them that have the rule over you and submit yourselves. We have to do it. You don't have to like it, but you have to do it. And if you won't submit to the elders, you got a problem with God. I mean, you got a problem with your elders, but you got a problem with the Lord. Their job's to lead. It's not an easy job. Shepherds lead sheep. They don't drive them. It's not this eldership's job to force you into submission any more than it is for a husband to force a wife in submission. Is it optional? No. No. In Ephesians 5, verse 22, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as unto the Lord. Oh, you're familiar with this passage of Scripture. Is the church in submission to Christ? Yes. We must be, or we're not His church. And I know this is challenging for a lot of people. This is a hard thing to do. But you need to submit to your elders. Follow your elders. What do you think about a wife who's insubordinate to her husband? What do we think about that person? In Colossians 3, verse 20, children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. What do you think about a child who is insubordinate unto its parents? What do we think? How do you think God feels about Christians who are insubordinate to their elders? I don't know why He'd feel any different. What do you think God feels about people in the church who tried to undermine their elders? In Genesis 26, verse 34 and 5, it says, Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beriah the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. You know what people who don't want to follow the elders are to the elders? Grief of mind. Cause them to grieve. Cause them to worry. Gives them heartache. Gives them stress. Gives them heartburn. And on and on and on. Now, I'm not saying you can't have your opinion. I'm not saying you can't do things that you want to do. I'm saying that you've got to consider the will of the elders and follow that will. You may disagree with choice and decision that they make. Don't give them grief. Your sheep follow their shepherds. Have you ever noticed that? Look at this guy. All these sheep are following. What do you think he's going to do if one of those sheep runs away? What do you think he would do if a sheep came up and said, hey, mister, you're going the wrong way. Left turn right here. A sheep that won't follow the shepherd's not a sheep. It's a stubborn old goat. That's what it is. Brethren, don't be the stubborn old goat in this congregation. Don't be that person. And number 4, and this goes under submission, is to submit and obey and submit to equipping. Ephesians 4:11 and 12. It's one of my favorite passages, and I think y'all probably know that. He Himself, this is Jesus, gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers for the equipping of the saints, for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ. Churches today need elders equipping the saints, and that's exactly what a pastor is here. And in this passage of Scripture, we have evangelists, elders, and teachers equipping the saints to do the work of ministry. And what will help this church go from 100 people to 200 people or 300 people is for Christians to submit to equipping and follow their elders and get busy working. And that's one of the great challenges and one reason that congregations that don't have elders are dying. Now listen, a church without elders, no one is responsible to equip the members. And so when an elder comes to you and says, hey, I want you to learn how to lead a song, do a Bible study, do security, change the air filters, audio, visual, etc., and on and on and on, you need to say, I'd like to do that. When do we want to get together? I will do it. Submit to that equipping. You know, there's some things as a child you learn whether you want to learn them or not. You ever notice that? I learned how to build fence. I can build a fence, brother. I never wanted to do it. I know how to clean out a hog pen. Okay, I never wanted to learn. I know how to do it. There's some things I learned I didn't necessarily want to learn. There's some things you may learn. You may go, this ain't my purpose in life or my joy in life. Embrace it and learn it. It will help you to be a better person. And the church needs equipped for the church to thrive. I want to tell you, we're in a very difficult and challenging place in the world today. There's a lot of things that are against the church, and the world is turning. And you can just look out there and see all this transgender and all this other baloney that's going on in the world. I want to tell you, folks, we need the church to be stronger than ever. You folks, there should have been a hailstorm of amens on that one. We need the church to be stronger than ever. You need it. Your kids need it. That's what we need. And 2 Timothy 2 verse 2, the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. This is backed up with the evangelist here in Timothy, and it goes hand in hand with Ephesians 4, 11 and 12. 1 Corinthians 16 verse 15, I beseech you, brethren, that you know the house of Stephanas, that is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. That's what we need Christians to do. Folks, I need you to step up. The elders need you to step up. You want to hear the truth? You need you to step up and be equipped and embrace and follow these elders and work hard and submit. These folks were addicted to it, and you and I need to do that too. Sheep follow the shepherd. And that's the question. Are you following your shepherd today? 1 Peter 2:25, for ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned to the shepherd and bishop of your souls. I'm going to ask you to get out your songbooks this morning. Get out your songbooks, folks. You're a wonderful group of people, and you have many blessings. Don't take for granted what you have. And don't underestimate the strength, the power, and what you can do together. In working together, in submitting and following to these elders, and becoming equipped and becoming stronger, and doing the will of the Lord, I will tell you, there is tremendous potential. Tremendous. Now, I want to go to heaven, and I think you do too. I'll tell you, if we'll submit to the elders and we'll follow their will and we'll get busy and work hard, we can make it to heaven. I'll tell you, a whole lot of other people can too. A whole lot of other people. And that's the will. If you're here today and you're struggling in your Christian walk, if you're here today and you're struggling with your elders, I would humbly ask you to consider these teachings. Think about the will of God. If you have bad feelings toward these men, you need to reevaluate. I want to tell you, you're blessed, a very blessed people. Now, you may have some other need that has nothing to do with this subject, may have something otherwise to do. We'll be happy to help you with that. That's really why we're here. We want to go to heaven. We want to work together to overcome the challenges of life, and there are many, and they're real, and they're tremendous. Maybe something else is burning up your mind and burning your heart today, and maybe you're sitting there going, I need help. Then ask for help. We got a song. And you know what? This happens every Sunday and Wednesday. We have an opportunity every week to get help, and you're fixing to have one. Come ask for help. You know what? People who ask for help typically get help. So if we can help you, please come as we sing.